Age of Radio.
On this episode, Missy and I are talking about New Year's resolutions and expectations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of On Finding Peace. And this is the podcast where Missy and I talk about daily life tips that can help lead us to our own inner peace and happiness in life. And today we are talking about New Year's. Should wish everybody a Happy New Year. So we are recording this somewhat after January 1st. So here we are, 2021. And typically many people talk about their resolutions and start their resolutions on January 1st or 2nd. Scientifically or unscientifically, I don't know, but yesterday, which, what would that date have been? I guess the 13th. Yesterday is considered the break day for resolutions. So they have determined that people at around this point of January stop doing what their resolutions are. So if you are listening to this and you are continuing your resolution, you're ahead of the curve. But we figured we'll talk a bit about how you can maybe keep those resolutions and talk a bit about resolutions themselves.
All
So
right.
how are you doing, Missy? Happy New Year.
Pretty good. Thank you very much. How about yourself?
Yeah, so far a good New Year. Things are going well on different fronts. So no complaints so far for this year. Now unfortunately, when we look at what a year ago today, what were we thinking? So
it was a free world then, wasn't it? So
it just kind of
I'm sorry. Do you yourself? Do you make resolutions every year?
Not every year, and I don't always do it at the beginning of New Year. It seems that I try to make some as they pop up. Last year, and very poor timing, but last year, little bit of months before all the lockdown COVID stuff happened, I got into a diet routine, and it seemed to have been working. And, we started taking off those nice pounds that were put on. And then the COVID and the isolations and the quarantines, and, couldn't get all the health foods I was getting, and I just slipped right back into
Comfort, right?
So,
yeah.
So that went out the window. But that was a mix of my doing and a mix of world events. So,
right.
How about you? Do you have a routine of
typically.
Resolutions?
No, I don't. No, I'm not at all. And the funny thing is, I think that I got a lot of strange looks this year because I didn't really decide on any resolutions, but lifestyles change, and I'm going to give this a shot for a year. So everybody's. I don't do drugs, so no drugs, but no alcohol, no caffeine. No red meat and no pork. So I'm trying that for the year. And believe it or not, I thought it was going to really be difficult because I definitely enjoy my glass of wine. I love having a beer with my dad, things like that. My dad actually told me he was going to disown me jokingly, of course, but it's been awesome. And honestly, there was, for me, there was some buildup for me. Like I really had to work up to okay, I'm not going to be having any hamburgers. I'm not going to be having and I've cut, I have not had any junk food, so to speak, all year long either. That's not necessarily something I'm saying, hey, I'm going to go the whole year without, but I really wanted to tone that back. And so chocolate almond milk has been like my guilty pleasure. And it's funny that you said that yesterday was the day that most people kind of like fall off, because yesterday I was really craving some chocolate. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is killing me. But otherwise, it's really been easy. And I honestly, again, here's your expectations part of it, is like I really set it up in my mind, like this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to be easy, and I'm just going to get it taken care of, and it's only 365 days. Like it's only a year, and I think with that mentality, with that belief that it was like, well, it's only a year, that has made it really easy. So I'm eating a lot of chicken because I'm not a big, huge seafood eater. But finding different ways to make chicken, or finding ways to make, and turkey too, I can have that, but finding ways to be creative with it, what I would have used beef before, or pork, or something like that. It's been really fun, actually. It's been challenging, and it's allowed me to be creative with it. So, so that's what's going on with me this year. Did you set any for yourself this year, per se, or nope?
No. Yeah, if you're watching the video, I was shaking my head. No, and I'm listening to yours, wishing you all the best of luck with that. And I'm thinking I would have ended way before yesterday. That would have been a day or so.
Yeah, I think most people are like, you gave up coffee? And I'm like, well, I drink decaf anyway. And they're like, what's the point in drinking coffee? And I'm like, it wasn't the caffeine. It was the flavor I really liked. And it was more the flavor of the creamer than it was the coffee. So definitely would start me off on a sugar rush all day. And so then that I was like, oh, well, if I wanted this, I would have this or that. So yeah, it definitely makes me, I feel good right now. So, and I'll keep you guys informed on how I progress throughout the year.
and seriously, I do hope for, the best, and that you can meet your goals. But I think that is what comes into when we talk about the expectations, and because I know for me, had I done the same thing, there's no way that wouldn't even come anywhere near working. So, and more so the caffeine, I think the alcohol isn't a huge deal for me. So I miss it, but that's not a huge deal. The caffeine is a no-go. And the meat would be a tough one. That would be.
Oh, and I love
pork. I'm pretty cool with.
Yeah, no big deal, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I like burgers.
I love beef. Yep. And so my dinner, my anniversary was actually January 1st. And my dinner on New Year's Eve was a filet mignon. I was like, okay, we're having dessert. We're having it all tonight. I'm just letting you know, there's no holds barred here. And, and it was good. And it was enough to, it's okay that I don't have it. Like, I don't feel like I'm lacking anything, but I mean, I don't want to make this all about me, but, I can see how people can, very easily get discouraged, because the cravings, it's easy to have those cravings, but I wonder sometimes if the cravings aren't more from the habit, the habit that we formed of, have to have coffee every day, or have to have the caffeine every day. Now, I enjoy coffee. So that was something like I have to remember that I'm not taking this away because I don't want to enjoy life. It's, it's more for spiritual and health reasons that I've chosen to do this,
Right. And that's really what makes the big difference, is when I look at people who are making resolutions, or just, throughout the year, you try something, like with me last year, it was March. Well, no, probably like mid-February when I started. And I think part of it is that it really needs to originate from each of us, resolutions that are more so pushed on people, like you have to do this, you have to do that, or, threatening to do it. It's an internal. So that, really helps. And then the expectation of, can you reasonably do what it is that you want to do? Now that can always be overcome. Like what I'm saying, I would never do what you were doing. Now, can that be overcoming in me? Oh, definitely. And if I had a client who, would say the same thing, I would never be able to do what Missy's doing.
Yeah.
What I would say is, all right, you can't do that today, but let's work on how do we get you prepared and in some small steps get you to that goal.
Well,
So, you can look at your bigger goal and separate it.
Yeah. What it boils down to is it's a belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
I there's a lady who has a YouTube video. If anybody's interested, I'd be happy to share it with you. But what she says is like, your body is a riverbed, okay? And the flow of life or God or whatever you want to call it is the water running through that riverbed. And the boulders or the little pebbles are the beliefs. So we want to make our beliefs as little as pebbles, because the boulders will actually block the flow of what you have that's able to, be flowing to you. So if we can take that belief that, you can't do without coffee and turn it into, I could probably do without coffee. And then maybe next week it's like, I don't need coffee anymore. It's just a little bit at a time, rather than, well, we're going to eat the whole sandwich in one bite, or, something like that. So it's just altering those beliefs to see if it's possible.
Exactly. And taking it in small chunks. You took on a lot, and that's something that you feel that you can do. But, if somebody like me, what my suggestion then would be is, pick and choose right now. What are you going to do first?
Right.
And I would probably take the easy ones, like, I guess out of that list, the pork and alcohol would be where I would start. And then you begin to wean yourself off of, the other ones. But part of what, you were mentioning, and I love that illusion of the, boulders and the pebbles with the water, because, I do want to shift perspective. And, one of the things we can look at is, what does your current behavior, the one that you want to change, or the mindset that you want to change, what is it actually doing for you?
Right.
It's usually doing something, so if we take caffeine, so why are you taking caffeine every morning? And then a lot of people say, well, to wake me up. Okay, yes and no. Because at some point, the caffeine level just levels out in your body, and it may not be keeping you awake.
Right.
So what does it do for you? And we can start talking about, routines or taste, or it makes me feel a certain way. So you can look at, well, what are healthier options that would do the exact same thing?
Oh.
So are there healthier options? Do they work?
I don't care what you say. It's not the same. I've tried. I really
have.
Ignore some things. Sorry, ignore me.
Ignoring Missy. No, but you're right, though, because we're not going for the exact.
Yeah.
So we're not finding, the exact coffee substitute, because if you look for the exact substitute, just keep doing coffee.
Yeah, no. Well,
so you're right. There isn't a true one.
No. And I not to interrupt, because I do understand what you're saying. Find a healthier alternative, right? And so I really had to find, like, I enjoy chocolate almond milk. It's not chocolate milk, it's not coffee, but it satiates the chocolate that I enjoy. It satiates the sweetness that I'm looking for. And, hey, I can heat that up if I wanted to and make it a morning drink. But, I'd probably have a half a cup, maybe every couple of days, And not that it matters to you guys. I'm just saying that for me, it makes me feel like, oh, I'm not missing out. Right. And because that's what it leads me to believe, is like, people think I'm missing out. And then in turn, I kind of go like, well, am I missing out? Like, if I'm missing out, well, screw it. I'm just going to do it, And it's like my mom always says, what kind of weird crap are you doing now? And so that's in my head sometimes, like, how weird is this that I'm doing this? It's probably very strange and abnormal to a lot of people. But at the same time, I felt ready for it. Like, it wasn't something I was going, well, I'm going to diet, I'm going to do keto, I'm going to, whatever. it was just a choice to make and say, look, this is what I'm going to try for a while. I mean, I've tried vegan, I've tried vegetarian, and those things I didn't think were a fit. Right now, I feel like, okay, I still have a meat and I still have the option to, have the things that I enjoy having without making me feel like I'm suffering as a result. And I think that's part of it is that when we have a resolution, there's some sense of that we're suffering if we don't have what we want.
Yep.
And I think that's why people quit.
Oh yeah. Because we don't want a resolution to be suffering.
No.
All of this really is about how do I make myself healthier? How do I find inner peace? And you're not going to find inner peace if you're doing things that make you suffer.
No.
So yeah, that's not, a healthy motivation. And if at some point, like, let's say, you said, well, I have to exercise more, and, people are going to the gym, and then you start to realize this is suffering. Well, then start asking yourself, what part of it is suffering? Is it the exercise? Is it the time you need? Is it the time you're doing it? Because those things can be modified. So is the suffering you're getting up too early? Can you exercise at a different time? Can you cut your exercise, down to maybe a half hour instead of hour? Look at those things.
Well, do you think also that it maybe, I feel like what I'm doing takes commitment, right? And so I feel like, there's actually in a class I took, there's different levels of commitment. Like level 7 was you are fully committed. There's, you are a stand for this happening. Right. And so that's where I feel like I am. And I also feel like that's the reason why it's so easy. Right. I don't feel like I'm suffering at all. I don't feel like I'm missing out. But if I was a level 1 committed and I'd be which I have been plenty of times before, and giving up coffee, yeah, well, maybe tomorrow. Well, maybe tomorrow. Well, maybe tomorrow. Right. And so I'm sure we've all done that. I'll quit smoking tomorrow, or I'll quit eating junk food tomorrow, or, so that means I'm not really that committed. So I think that that level of commitment, you have to find your balance of where are you going to not suffer, right? And how committed are you going to be to make what you're really asking yourself to have happen? And sometimes I think it even boils down to a worthiness conversation deep inside. Am I worth doing this? So I mean, those are just questions that I would kind of try to sit in to wait for the answer to come and see if there's something there that triggers you about that worthiness.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily start a resolution January 1. Yeah. And nothing against that at all. No. But I agree with you in that you have to be ready. You have to, want to do this. You have to see the positives in this. And whenever that happens, that's when you jump on it. And to the worthiness, I think that's, your basic issue in all of what we talk about in finding inner peace, is the lack of feeling worthy of, bettering oneself is I think the key to all of it. Because if I'm not going to have a good self-respect or self-esteem, or I'm going to feel unworthy, I'm not going to try to better my life or make it more healthy in any way, because there's no reason to.
Right.
So we really need to find and increase that worthiness and find that reason that my life is actually worth being healthy and better. And then what am I going to do to make it healthy and better?
Well, and again, this is like all of these are stretches, right? If we're in this box right now, that's our comfortable box. And to get out of that, you got to stretch. That's how we grow. And if you don't take the opportunity, even if it is something as simple as changing your diet or exercising more, or, challenge yourself to do maybe like a 5K or whatever it is, to get out of your comfort zone, to get off the couch, to be out more in nature, whatever the challenge is, like that's going to help you reach those goals of, whether it be healthier or, just a better overall sense of life and peace. So we have to make ourselves realize that that's what resolutions are. They're the stretch. And so, it's like a rubber band. Sometimes when you stretch that rubber band, it pops right back, right? And it's going to do that until that stretch gets worn out. And then it's going to be something that you do as everyday part of your life.
Yep. And what I tell clients all the time, be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You keep stretching yourself and, making these changes in your life. And, we don't want you to suffer, but there is some growing pains at times.
Yeah.
But be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. That as humans, we're not going to necessarily do this perfect all the time. If you set up a routine that says, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week at the gym, and you catch yourself a couple weeks in a row going just twice, yes, okay, then you have an added challenge, get back to 3, but don't start beating yourself up about it.
No,
and that's where a lot of people end up stopping, because they're like, well, I can't even do 3, so, why do I even do this at all? And the whole worthlessness comes back in, oh, I can't do it. You got to be patient with yourself. Just because you're not doing it 100% doesn't mean you give up the entire, routine.
Well, and what does Tony Robbins say, right? Don't shit all over yourself.
Yep.
I mean, and that's it. And we should on ourselves, and we should on others too, right? And so that deters us. It doesn't compel us to move forward, right? It compels us to sit where we're at. And I'm, a huge proponent of recognizing when ego comes in, and that is to me, that's ego, right? Is because ego has these beliefs that this is the way it should be done. Well, I don't care how you cross the road. If I cross the road different, it doesn't matter. I could skip, I could roll, I could, whatever, and you just walk across the street. There's no difference. You got there, I got there. It doesn't have to be judgment. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. Let's just get where we're going.
Yep. Oh yeah, the word should is banned from my office and my clients, and I will remind them when they use it. I will stop them and say, "What'd you say?" Yeah. No, because he's right, you're right. I mean, I think there were people before him that were proposing this, but the point being is the should is the ultimate unattainable expectation.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to stay away from that. And the other thing I always say is what you just brought up is a non-judgmental. I'm not here to judge anybody for what you're doing, not doing, or the like. And that's where I like to use the words healthy and unhealthy, because to me, those aren't judgmental words.
Ooh,
they're not good, great. Bad, right, wrong. So, like again, if you're going to do the gym 3 days a week, you're only doing it 2 days a week, and now you're getting all upset with yourself. Right. Take that should out of it. Yeah. I should be going 3 days a week. Well, says who? It's like, well, I said so.
Yeah.
Well, if you said so, then you can say something different.
Yeah, that's
because right. if the focus is on health, then maybe your big challenge may have been just the fact you're going to the gym at all. Yeah. So what if we went to the gym twice a week for a month or so, and then add day 3? If day 3 is what's making you suffer, if day 3 is what might cause you to stop doing the whole thing, then change your expectation. That maybe right now, the best I can do is twice. That's still a stretch. If you've never been to the gym before, twice a week is a stretch.
Right. Yeah.
So add the other day later.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and celebrate that. I mean, that's the thing. We go through life with such a masculine mentality of, it's a linear checklist. We got to do this. We got to go to work. We got to eat lunch. We got to make sure we do that, and you're not celebrating that. Like, it's not fun. It's a have to, not a get to, right? And
Mhm.
and so, like, little things like, I mean, gosh, I craved chocolate all day yesterday, and for me to not eat it when I really really wanted it was, and I have a pantry full of it because everybody gave my kids candy for Christmas, but for me to not eat it, that was a win. That was a celebration, right?
Yep.
And it's like, those are the kind of things, like, I want to pat myself on the back for. I want to make sure that I recognize, like, look, you can do it. Now there's a new receptor in your brain that's telling you you can do something that you've never done before. You can skip over that chocolate. You can go to the gym on that third day. Whatever it is, just, take the time, even if it's just to be in gratitude of yourself, to be like, I did it. That's awesome. And I don't need anybody else to be proud of me. I'm proud of me,
And that really needs to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And it's very healthy for that to be celebrated. That for an individual to be proud of themselves, again, we can only control our own thoughts, feelings, actions, can't control others.
Right.
So getting down if, like, well, nobody else appreciates what I'm doing or nobody else is proud of me. Yeah, that's a bummer, but we can't control them. Do you feel that you can appreciate yourself? Do you feel, proud of yourself? And that's really what's most important, because that's the only thing that you can control.
Well, so do you think that's something we should encourage our listeners for? Maybe a listener challenge?
Oh, what are you thinking?
Take the time to celebrate yourself. I mean, if you can find 3 things at the end of your day that you can celebrate, whether it's towards your resolutions, or even if it has nothing to do with them, just take take 3 minutes and celebrate yourself, to be grateful for accomplishing those things, or, embodying those ways of being that you want to be. Maybe you were nice to the guy who cut you off in traffic. Sure, come on in, instead of, giving him some gesture that we all know well. So just celebrate those kind of things, and take a few minutes for yourself every day. It will change the way that you live.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome challenge, and make sure you're patting yourself on the back when you make this list, and share with us and all the other listeners, what are those things that you are proud of and appreciative of within the day. I even think within a horrible day, there's still something. Even if it's one thing, there's still something that you can be proud of throughout that day. And it might be your response. Maybe you are having a horrible day, or a lot of people are getting on you. Your response may be what you're proud of. That you responded in a very healthy, professional, respectful way, when everything inside of you said, nope, go get him.
Yeah. And I mean, and sometimes it's just when you, even in those moments, sometimes it's just changing your reaction that changes the entire setting of what you're going through, so it changes perception for you, and it can change the whole mood. You can shift it in just that quick.
Yep, exactly. And I think the other piece that I'd like to throw out there is, if you do end up yesterday quitting your resolution, nothing says, there is no law, there is no anything that says you can't restart.
Amen.
So let's say, you got to a point where whatever, it's too hard to, whatever your excuse was, and you decide I'm not doing it. I would say, okay, take a week, regroup, breathe, but nothing says you can't go back to doing it. Again, it didn't have to be done January 1st. So you
absolutely.
can go
And
back
any
and do
moment.
this.
Yep.
Exactly. Even maybe modified. So again, I mean, maybe you're trying the coffee thing every day and you figure I failed most days, so I'm just going to stop. Well, then modify it,
Yeah.
So don't drink coffee like 2 times a week and then move it to 3 and move it to 4 and,
Yeah.
work yourself up to it.
Yeah, I tend to be an all or nothing kind of girl. So, I used to smoke cigarettes years and years ago. And when I said I was quitting, I was working for the military at the time, and I was actually away on travel. And all these guys were like, yeah, right, sure, sure, sure. And I swear I must have smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes that night. And the next morning I woke up and I haven't touched a cigarette since. And they were like,
It's
really
amazing.
quit like all those years ago? And I'm like, yeah, it was like 20 years ago. Don't tell my age, but anyway, and the same with this. It's like, I have a belief that I'm an all or nothing kind of girl. So it's like, if I personally slipped and had a cup of coffee, then I probably would just become a full-fledged coffee drinker again. So
Right.
not everybody has beliefs like that. And I,
Mhm.
I honor people like that. I respect people like that because, it's easy if you can do it every now and then and you have balance. If not, then, then you become like me and you just go like, nope, I quit. I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yep. Oh yeah, whatever works for the individual, 'cause as you said, in that crossing the street example, it's as long as you're getting to that end goal.
Yeah.
If you're all or nothing, do it. Be all or nothing. If that's not your personality, then work with your personality.
You know what
But
I love about us, like about this podcast, is that I hope that it's not like we're telling anybody, here's what you need to do to find inner peace. I think that we open up a conversation for a lot of people.
mhm.
That they have the ability to go, oh, cool, just like I want to try something new. So, it doesn't matter how I try it. I can do it my way. And I think that empowers a lot of people. So I hope that
Yeah.
it does for our listeners. And I hope that you all are kicking butt on either New Year's resolutions or whatever you guys are doing.
Mhm.
Don't worry. If people think you're weird, do it anyway.
Weirder is better.
Yeah,
you,
weird is
you end
better.
up with a
Gives you
good story that
conversation.
way.
Yeah.
I have no issue with weird. And
Yeah.
clients tell me all the time, I'm weird. It's like, fine with me.
Gives you something to
Yeah,
talk
no,
about.
and we definitely, I agree with you that, to me, there's no one set path to finding your inner peace and your happiness. And, we're talking about ways that, have worked for us. We've seen it work in others. But that's also why, we're always open to comments and dialogue and suggestions, because there's so many people out there who found their own path in so many different ways. And it's always great to hear, how did somebody find theirs? What worked for them?
Absolutely.
And also what didn't work for them, and how they got over the piece that wasn't working for them.
Sometimes
That's always what I want to know about it.
Oh, that didn't work. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But
Yeah. And I always want to be, so how'd you get over that? Because there's other people who it's not working for either, I'm sure.
yeah,
So if you got over it, how'd you do it so we can teach people?
that's right. Absolutely. Well,
Awesome.
that was awesome, I thought.
Yep. Good conversation. So any parting words on resolutions or?
You know what? I would totally just say, trust yourself, because you're going to know when it's the right time to do the right things for you, and it's okay to know that even if you're on a diet and your body's saying, gosh, have that piece of chocolate, it would be so enjoyable right now, then go ahead and do it, and don't feel guilty about it. Like that's a big one, is just do it, let the moment be had, enjoy it, and then move forward.
Yep. Because you can restart anytime you want.
Yeah.
And one little thing like that doesn't end everything.
No,
So
it doesn't.
I agree with you. Yep. that doesn't end everything. All right. Excellent. And just want to remind all of our listeners that we are over on Patreon if you want to support this channel. You also get some goodies if you do. So we encourage you to do that. Hopefully you do the listener challenge and let us know how that goes. We appreciate you sharing this with your friends, and hopefully you have a wonderful and mindful 2021.
Absolutely. And very prosperous for everybody as well.
Very good.
Okay. Have a great day.